Week 12 of the NFL season is approaching quickly, and the waiver wire is once again the best opportunity to improve your fantasy football team within a week and make that team a playoff contender. This is the best waiver wire period of the year between running backs stepping into workhorse roles, running backs that you can plug and play in the upcoming weeks, wide receivers that have long term viability, weekly viability. There are so many players this week that you need to know on the waiver wire that could completely change the course of your fantasy football season and help secure your championship. So let's get right into this video here on Blitz Sports Media. What's going on, everybody? My name's Blitz Link, and I'm discussing some of the best players to get off the waiver wire. Let's start with Green Bay Packers running back Emmanuel Wilson, who will likely take over for Josh Jacobs if he were to miss any time. And it's looking pretty likely that Jacobs will be missing time, even though it's early reports saying it's not a significant injury. When Jacobs went down last week, Wilson dominated the backfield, logging 71% of snaps, having 11 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown, while also adding a 9-yard catch out of the backfield. Wilson flashed explosive abilities in the past in the preseason and in relief roles already earlier on this year, while Chris Brooks started the season as the team's handcuff running back. Emmanuel Wilson has taken over that role, and it makes Wilson a viable play without Josh Jacobs immediately working into that RB2 flex conversation if Jacobs were to miss any time. Matt LaFleur in his time in Green Bay has relied heavily on bell cow running backs throughout his tenure, and despite neutral matchups, I look at like Baltimore, for example. I think Emmanuel Wilson is going to be a really consistent option for the Packers with Josh Jacobs being out. Sure, he's not going to meet the production that Jacobs has, which is a top 6 running back on a weekly basis, but Emmanuel Wilson can definitely be a viable plug and play option in your lineups, and he's only rostered in 7% of leagues. So if we get reports that Jacobs by Wednesday is not going to be healthy for multiple weeks, throw your entire fab on Emmanuel Wilson. Michael Wilson's the next guy for the Arizona Cardinals. He's rostered in 47% of leagues. He is coming off of a monster performance where he had 18 targets, 15 catches for 185 yards, receiving a massive 31.5% target share while Marvin Harrison Jr. is sidelined due to an appendix surgery. He immediately stepped in as that team's wide receiver one and produced very, very impressively. I know that Jacoby Brissett threw so many passes in that game, but it was impressive nonetheless to see a guy have 15 catches in his first week as the team's wide receiver one. He does have favorable upcoming matchups between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Michael Wilson's a player that offers short-term wide receiver two upside and flex upside in a pass happy offense right now with Jacoby Brissett at the quarterback position. So Michael Wilson, really good add off of waivers if he's still available. The next guy, Kenneth Gainwell. Similar situation to Emmanuel Wilson. Jalen Warren is dealing with injuries, his lead back in Pittsburgh, but Gainwell, we've seen now with Warren hurt, he automatically slots in as a very, very good plug and play type option. This past week, with Warren missing time during this game, he finished with 9 carries for 24 yards, but he also hauled in 7 catches for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns in this yak heavy Pittsburgh Steelers offense. The upcoming weeks for Gainwell are very impressive as well. He gets the Bears and the Bills. Both have struggled against running backs in fantasy production this year. And this isn't just a one off thing. We've seen when Jalen Warren missed time earlier on this year, Kenneth Gainwell had a monster week. And we've also seen him be viable as a plug and play RB3 throughout this season. So with Gainwell, you're getting that floor that he's a plug and play guy if you're desperate at the running back position, or he's going to be a lead back and have a really nice week. So with Kenneth Gainwell, a player that you need to have rostered. He's only rostered in 35% of leagues. The next guy is Chris Rodriguez for the Washington Commanders. I know, another running back, and unfortunately for the Bill Ja'Cory Krosky Merit truthers, this backfield has completely shifted into a 3-head committee, but Chris Rodriguez is starting to run away with this 3-head committee. He played a majority of the snaps over McNichols and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt this past weekend. He's either recorded a touchdown or double-digit carries, including a strong Week 11 performance over his last 3 games. He had 80-plus total yards in this one, 16 touches. He has been very, very good for this team, and Washington heads into a bye week. So he's probably going to be flying under the radar a little bit, and you can snag him for cheaper. The fact that he's only rostered in 12% of leagues allows that, but he gets the Giants, Cowboys, and Eagles for his upcoming schedule. Outside of the Eagles, I really like those matchups, and he's a solid plug-and-play option. I know Week 14 is going to have a ton of bye weeks. Chris Rodriguez could be a great fill-in for that week as well. Another wide receiver, Darnell Mooney, for the Atlanta Falcons. He's only rostered in 31% of leagues, and this comes after the news Drake Mooney or Drake London missing week 12 now due to a PCL strain. He's expected to miss 1 to 4 weeks. We will see how long that timeline holds him out. But also, Michael Penix Jr. is heading to IR. His season is likely over, and Kirk Cousins takes over at the quarterback. Over his last 2 games, Mooney's had 7.5 targets per game. But the encouraging part is he slots in as a team's wide receiver one without London. And last season, with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, Mooney finished as the wide receiver 16, and he had 106 targets. His upcoming schedule is really favorable too. He gets the Saints and the New York Jets, which is very, very favorable for perimeter receivers. So he's going to soak up more first read opportunities, and he's going to start turning in some of these targets into more fantasy production. The floor is going to raise. He has some positive regression coming. Darnell Mooney, a guy that will be a consistent wide receiver 3 as long as Drake London is out. The guy that I'm getting really excited about is Christian Watson for the Green Bay Packers. I had him as a must start this week, and that's just everybody in general, not just a waiver wire pickup, a must start. He's only rostered in 34% of leagues, and he's been a very, very heavy deep utilization for the Steelers, or not the Steelers, the Packers so far, 25.8 ADOT through weeks 8 through 10. And then this past week, had a solid day, 46 yards and 2 touchdowns on a 21% target share. Since Tucker Kraft went down, Watson has been their most viable pass catcher, and he's also secured a consistent role. He's playing over 70% of snaps in 2 and 3 wide receiver sets. And then he also gets a favorable upcoming schedule between the Bears, Vikings, and Ravens. All 3 of these defenses ranked top 7 in deep ball connection rate allowed this year. So Christian Watson, he's going to stretch the field. And even when Jaden Reed returns, he's not going to eat into the Christian Watson snap share. So I absolutely love the fact that Christian Watson is a viable deep threat over the next few weeks. Going to be a nice flex play. And maybe the name you've heard everywhere this past week, Sean Tucker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, rostered in 26% of leagues. A lot of people did not expect this coming, but this has been the trend over the past few weeks. Rachaad White has been incredibly inefficient and ineffective as the lead running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Bucky Irving out, and it led to Sean Tucker playing more in week 11, 140 scrimmage yards and 3 touchdowns. Had a monster day for every, had to start him and got that production against a weak Buffalo Bills defense. He had 19 carries as well, operated around the goal line and short yardage work. Bucky Irving, we still don't know when he's slated to return. Him practicing this week means he has a chance to play against the Rams, but I for sure expect him to be back for week 13. Even if Bucky is not healthy, Sean Tucker does have some viability. He could have a role carved out alongside Bucky and Rachaad White, or even in week 12, Bucky misses. He has a really solid day. I think that this guy's a little bit more down on my list, but he deserves a mention nonetheless because of his production here in week 11. The player that had a bye week that everybody might be forgetting about is Alec Pierce, rostered in 48% of leagues. The Colts receiver has been very impressive over his past 7 outings, averaging 12.6 PPR points per game, and he's coming off of a performance where he was top 5 in air yard share and an impressive 128 air yards per game this year. His recent spike in target share, and he scored his first touchdown of the year in week 10. So Alec Pierce is trending in the right direction. He's going to get single high matchups a lot against Kansas City this coming week. And we've seen a lot of wide receiver twos have big time production against Kansas City in the past few weeks. So Alec Pierce should be in for a nice day against Kansas City this next week, and definitely a good plug and play flex option. Maybe my favorite stash right now on the waiver wire is Luther Burden. He's only rostered in 8% of leagues, and for the first time this year, he jumped Olamide Zaccheaus on the Bears depth chart, operating as their primary third receiver. He didn't play as much out of 2 receiver steps, but he still logged a 61.1% snap share and an 18% target share with 2.74 yards per route run. He's also had his 3rd game of 50 plus receiving yards, despite playing barely over 20% of 20 snaps before week 11. The Bears ran a lot of 12 and 21 personnel this past week, which forced a lot of 2 wide receiver sets. So I would expect Luther Burden to play even more this upcoming week against the Pittsburgh Steelers when it is a more favorable passing matchup for these Bears team to exploit. Burden has been one of their more impressive guys with the ball in his hands this year, so expect Ben Johnson to continue to elevate his production and his usage in the coming weeks, a name to watch out for. As far as tight ends go, I think Juwan Johnson is definitely worth taking a look at. He's still rostered in under 50% of leagues. He's been a tight end 1 for 4 straight weeks now, and he's coming off of a tight end 3 performance where he had 4 catches and 92 yards and a touchdown since Tyler Shuck took over. Johnson has a 15.1% target share, 61.5 receiving yards per game, and an impressive 3 yards per route run during that stretch. Tyler Shuck has great chemistry with Juwan Johnson at this point. It's pretty clear considering Shuck has a low ADOT that he's favoring the middle and intermediate part of the field compared to the perimeter part of the field so far to open his young career. Johnson has some favorable matchups again. He's got the Dolphins and the Patriots or not the Patriots, the Panthers after this Atlanta matchup here in week 12. So Juwan Johnson, a really good play and a tight end one streamer down the stretch. As far as my favorite defense to take a look at this week, we're looking at the dog pound, the Cleveland Browns, who have absolutely swallowed opposing offenses this year. They're the defense of 6 in fantasy football this year. Myles Garrett, 15 sacks, 22 tackles for loss. They slowed down the Ravens last week, made Lamar Jackson look normal and human. This coming week in week 12, they get the Las Vegas Raiders, who surrendered 27 sacks. Geno Smith has had turnover problems the entire year. When it is a plus-plus matchup and a defense is not rostered in over 50% of the leagues, like the Cleveland Browns, you are going to go get them and you're going to go stream them for sure. Let's get into the honorable waiver wire mentions. As far as quarterbacks, Jacoby Brissett had a monster week with the amount of volume he had. Bryce Young, another name to look out for this coming week against San Francisco, which is a favorable matchup. Bashul Tutin's a running back to note. He played 45% of snaps prior to his injury alongside Travis Etienne. If he does stay healthy heading into this next week, he's worth a name to look at. Bam Knight could take over as Arizona's starting running back with Amari DeMarcado hurt, but Trey Benson's return is looming right now. They're currently just rotating through these running backs with all the injuries they've had in Arizona. As far as wide receivers, Mac Hollins has been incredibly productive over the past few weeks. Parker Washington, still worth taking a look at. Jaden Higgins snaps, finally the second most snaps played in Houston under those receivers, so nice there. Colson Loveland, Noah Fant, Dalton Schultz, some tight ends to take a look at. As far as streaming defenses go, the Raiders and the Jaguars also have some good matchups I'd take a look at. Kickers, Cairo Santos and Evan McPherson also have some solid ones. As far as droppable players go, Justin Fields no longer the starter. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt is a guy that I am okay with dropping now. He's not going to return to fantasy relevance this year. J.K. Dobbins is out for the year. You can drop Michael Penix if you have him, but drop Tony Pollard and DJ Moore, two veterans that haven't lived up to their production. Same with David Njoku as well. As far as guys I'm not dropping yet, Sam Darnold, I know he's had a few down weeks, should return to somewhat fantasy relevance soon. David Montgomery hasn't been very good this year. Hold on to him still. He still has a decent role in a good offense. Quentin Johnston, incredibly volatile, high volume passing game. Keep him around. Ricky Pearsall, one catch in his return. Don't worry about it. He's going to be just fine. Rashid Shaheed hasn't transferred yet into production. Hold on to him. And then Kyle Pitts, down week. Hold on to him as well. Ultimately, though, guys, if you have any sort of waiver wire questions, whether that's how much fab to throw on a player, whether or not you should prioritize another player over another, drop that in the comment section below. I will help you as soon as I see that comment. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're so close to that 500 subscriber goal. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys next year on Blitz Sports Media.